Welcome back. It's another glorious day in California. Sun is shining. And I wanted to review a book that was actually recommended to me because of this channel. Someone recommended it to me very kindly, and I read it and I was blown away. His name is John Alton, and his book is Autonomic Intelligence, Pathway to the Pulsatile Self. So I wanted to review that book a little bit, talk about the Qigong that he teaches, and I wanted to take the core of that entire teaching and share it with you guys today. What is it that really makes this work really, really well? What makes Qigong work? What makes Tai Chi work? So let's get into it. It's really, really fascinating. John Alton's experiences, the whole book is a delightful read, and he's really honest, so he doesn't pull any punches with himself. He tells you everything, the glorious and the tragic. He's been through a number of surgery. It's amazing that he's still alive. The reason that he's alive and the reason that he cares so deeply to share what he has is that his Qigong saved his life more than once. Healed him more than once. He actually went to China, and the lineage that he learned was called the Three Emperors. In Chinese mythology, there are three sovereigns pictured here. Here they are again, just two of them, twisting about, and I think you can easily see that this is a reference to the Ida and Pingala, which yoga tells us travel through the spine, the cool and warm currents, which physically correspond to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system as they travel through the vagus nerve. Here we have on the top the three sovereigns and below the five emperors. Now, John Alton's Qigong deals with three of these emperors specifically, and so it's called Three Emperors Qigong. And what is so beautiful about the Three Emperors is that this understanding lines up exactly with Lahiri Mahasaya's three knots. These three key areas in the body are represented in this Qigong, and they focus a lot of their attention and their movement on these three key areas in the body. So he doesn't speak about the downward progression. That is the downward progression is solely in the domain of Lahiri Mahasaya. I haven't seen anywhere else where somebody mentions specifically a downward progression. So there are many lineages that talk about knots, but no one mentions this experiential downward progression that happens as we deepen in meditation, as we deepen into the spiritual eye. And so that makes Lahiri Mahasaya's path very, very valuable. And John Alton has a lot to say about the internal experience and what he thinks it actually is. He believes that the first thing that happens in Qigong specifically, and also Tai Chi, is that we awaken awareness around the central artery that is so close to the vagus nerve and to the spine. And that is what actually perceives the energy moving through the body. And I think it's a very, very good theory. The Three Emperors Qigong, that's his lineage. So he does a lot of movements around the heart, around the first and second chakra, and also around the area of the Ajna chakra. It's very much in line with what I practice in my own lineage with Lahiri Mahasaya. And so I think it's a wonderful, wonderful practice. It's a wonderful form of Qigong. If you feel like sitting in meditation for half an hour is too much for you, if you feel like you're just not ready to sit down and have the discipline to sit very, very still, this is another way to get into sensing the self. And so I wanted to take out the key aspect of what we're doing in Tai Chi, what we're doing in Qigong, which John Alton hits on repeatedly. He doesn't pull out this piece like I do, like I'm going to for today. So this is my modeling of John Alton, and I think he's a genius, and I think he spent a lot of time doing real experimentation with himself and teaching others. So the key thing that I notice in this Qigong is that he's always sensing with the hands. So here's a very simple auric type exercise that you might already know about. You take the two hands, you rub them together to create a little bit of sensitivity, and then you pull them apart, and then you push them together. And then you pull them apart, and then you push them together. And what you're trying to do is to sense as if there's some energy between your hands, and it's giving you resistance as you push in. And you might feel maybe like a little bit of a vacuum as you pull the hands apart, and then push the hands together. You might feel there's a little bit of a barrier there. They don't want to come together. And so you have to play with this. It might not happen like that, or it might just happen like that. You have to try it out. So you rub the hands together, pull them apart, push them together. And this is something you can do while you're at work. If you're stuck on the freeway, if you're stuck on the highway, this is something you can do all day. And as you let go and allow yourself to sense, you might start to feel something. And whatever it is, just pay attention to whatever sensation you're feeling. But the idea is to develop it to the point that you go like that, and I just don't want to push my hands because I already feel resistance. And then I make it a little bigger, and there it is again. And there it is again. And there it is again. So now, let's take that simple exercise and we're going to take it a step farther. It's a little squirrel over here. So I'm going to put my arm out. There's resistance with my hand. What about my arm? It was a little weaker, but now I can feel it. Now there's resistance between my arm. Now what about my upper arm? A little bit weaker. Now I can feel it. Okay, now I'm going to try and extend it to the other arm. Feel it in the hands. There it is. Feel it in the arm. There it is. Feel it in the upper arm. There it is. And now, you recognize this posture? This is a classical Qigong posture. I'm going to bring it out. I'm just continuing the very same exercise. Bring it in. And I don't want my shoulders up here. I want everything relaxed. They say, don't wear your shoulders like they're earrings. Bring them on down. Bring it out. Bring it in. And now I'm going to use my hands towards my heart to feel resistance. Out and in. There it is. Out, then in. There it is. There's the resistance. Now I'm actually hugging. I perceive myself as hugging a tree of energy. I have completed this exercise, or I've actually started it, is the real thing. So now I want to sit with this. And I'm actually sitting down, but you can do this standing up. You can do this in a park on a beautiful day in the fresh air. Take some nice, deep, slow breaths with it. And keep feeling that energy throughout the circle. And if you feel like you lose it, Go back to the simple. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3, until the whole thing is full. And step 4, until the whole thing is full. And I'm hugging a tree of energy. And now, this is actually the posture that John Alton was in when he experienced a radical change in his internal perception. So we talk a lot about pratyahara, interception. What if you take the piece of your body which is so used to feeling and sensing, and you begin to turn it in on itself? Isn't that what yoga is all about? Taking what is going out and redirecting it in. So let's just take something which is very used to sensing and feeling and turn it within. So the heart is a key place, right? What about the Ajna chakra? There it is, I can feel it. What about the lower chakras? There it is, I can feel it. So now I can shift here, 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 and now this is that tree. It's that tree of energy, right? And I'm turning my sensing perception back in on myself. So now, if you're a Kriya Yogi and you think a lot about your spine, because Kriya Yoga, everybody knows, has to do with your spine and your breath. So now I'm feeling 3 key areas along that pathway. So can I feel and then think on my spine? Feel and think on my spine. And you're gonna start to get inside because you're transferring what you already feel inside. So remember that exercise we did. We pushed a good feeling into the other side of the body. What was it that let us do that? The caudate nucleus. So what are we using when we sense inside? Well, it's got to be the caudate nucleus, right? And we are developing and strengthening, like you would lift weights, we are strengthening the perception, the introception of the caudate nucleus every time we do an exercise and we turn the sensing, feeling, we're used to doing it here, but we can also do it in here. You're gonna feel stuff. It's really cool. So this is a very quick, I've taken everything that John Alton presents and I squished it way down for you guys. But I highly recommend his book. It's a fascinating read. He throws a lot of language that he's developing at you. So just kind of climb past that and you're going to get to the really good, juicy part where he starts telling his story. Because it's really fascinating. He goes to China. He receives this ancient lineage of the 3 emperors. It's a beautiful lineage. He has a lot to say about it. He has a lot to share about his own personal experiences of healing. And that's what he's really interested in. He wants to use this introception to guide energy through the body in order to heal the body. So that's what his is all about. So that's what his 3 Emperors Qigong, that's his main aim for it. And what I'm sharing with you applies to that, and it also applies to yogic meditation. Give it a shot. It's a really clean, simple modeling of John Alton's 3 Emperor Qigong. and I hope you love it. I hope you try it out. Let me know how it works for you. And if this was valuable for you, be sure to hit that bell so I can see you guys next time.